considerable burden to the patients and society. And what I wanted to do was to firstly say that two things. Number one, insulin is not a cure. And that's part of where we are in terms of understanding, yes, we'll have pumps and we'll work towards what I would say is an artificial pancreas, but it's not a biological cure. That's the first thing. The second point that I really want to make is a point that I've made many times before, is that without prevention and the recurrence of preventing the disease, there will never be a cure. And the reason that we say that is that very simply, we can transplant organs, we can put in cells, and as we think about where we're going today, which is even regeneration, those cells themselves will be subject to the suicide of the beta cells, the autoimmune attack. And so when we think about cure, we've got to think about this hand in hand with prevention, which immediately thinks about what I would say is a combination therapy. We've got to start moving towards the future, which is combination therapy. And that is really crucial. Just so that you understand where we are, we know a lot about the natural history of type 1 diabetes. There is a genetic susceptibility. The suicide of the pancreas, if you will, is heralded by the appearance of autoantibodies, a pre-diabetic phase, which allows us to try and intervene in the disease. We can then try and alter the course of the disease in newly diagnosed patients, and then we try and prevent complications. So that natural history gives us an opportunity to interdict the disease. Now, when we think about this again, we really want you to understand this slide, and I think if you understand this slide, you'll again think about it. If we think about this very early in the disease process, and we think about if this is an autoimmune disease, well, if we start early, we can maybe just control that autoimmune process if we really understood the triggers. And that is part of what we all, the National Institute of Health, the ADA, the JDRF, many other organizations are trying to understand what causes type 1 diabetes, what are the mechanisms related. So if we can in fact control autoimmunity, that in itself will be very successful. Once you progress to the disease itself, most of the pancreas, and we know this actually from autopsy samples, has actually been destroyed. So you only have a small amount of pancreatic beta cells that are remaining, that are insufficient to meet the needs of the body on a day-to-day basis. And then we've got to think about either replacing beta cells with transplant of stem cells, or to regenerate cells such as with some of the agents you're going to hear today. So it's very important to think of this as a multi-step process. Now, the concept of combination is not a new one, and in fact, together with my colleague, Mark Atkinson, Mike Haller, Edwin Gale, in 2002, we talked about the need for combinations, but this was really rejected because they said it lacked evidence, we didn't know about the disease, it was too presumptive. But I think that part of the message is let's learn from history and let's learn from other disorders. If you look about what has really transformed the care of patients with tuberculosis, with HIV, with cancer, it's the combination of therapies. And type 1 diabetes should be in that category. So clearly we've got to be looking at this in a multifaceted way.